What's up, everyone? Thralls here once again. I am Necrotic.
And I'm Jammin John.
And we have an album review for you. So, the first big thing that came out in May that I definitely had my sights on was the new album from Vader, Solitude in Madness, which pretty much describes quarantine a little bit. Or madness and solitude.
Actually, that's fine.
Right. This comes out on the 1st of May on Nuclear Blast Records. This is a pretty fucking well-known band, but in case you didn't know, they're from Poland, and this is their 16th studio album. They've been around since 1983, and pretty much the lone original member is our boy Peter, who is fucking awesome still and a hell of a songwriter. And pretty much these guys are like the granddaddies of the Polish death metal scene.
I'd call them that.
Yeah. So this album kicks off with Shock and Awe, and that is not just the song title of the first track, that is the first 3 tracks. It is just a steady, rapid punch in the face of blast beats, machine gun guitars, everything you know and love about Vader.
And you know, I wrote in the beginning of this, fuck intros, because there was no intro to this, but there's no intro to anything else either, so...
Actually, yeah, there's no, like, pretense, there's no, like, oh, we have this creepy little keyboard sample,
right,
or
it's just, bam.
A movie sample. Like, no, fuck that, we're going. Yeah. And that is every track. And it's kind of interesting to hear an album with, like, no little bits of ambience, really. It's just all riffs, meat and potatoes, and just whooping the shit out of you non-stop.
I gotta visit the chiropractor after this album. Good thing they're not open here yet.
Now, as much as I love those first 3 tracks, I think towards the middle of the album, you get a little bit more dynamic songs. Incineration of the Gods was the first one. It was like, Jesus Christ, this is fucking epic.
I knew it immediately. From the moment it started, I was like, well, this is getting started. Like,
it's pretty much everything you love about Vader, again, except it's a little bit groovier. It isn't totally reliant on blast beats. There are some really cool, distinct riffs and kind of an early death thrash feel.
It's got to me, it's got a Napalm Death feel to it.
A little bit. There's a little bit of like a kind of a punky undertone there. I got a lot of like early Sepultura, like especially like Beneath the Remains.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Beneath the Remains era.
The breakdown in the song I absolutely loved. It has a fierce Exodus feel to it.
Yeah.
I just absolutely got into that moment, and it closes so grand in just a big chuggy fashion.
Dude.
Like,
yeah.
And we're trying not to do track by track, but this is really kind of an interesting layout for the album, whereas the first 3 songs definitely give you a totally different feel than the next 3 songs. The next 3 songs are a little bit longer and, again, have more dynamic parts in it. They're not just all about beating the shit out of you with blast beats. There's a little bit more nuance to them.
Sanctification Denied had a kind of a blackened death metal melodic thrash feel to it.
It's like a crawling riff that just carries that song. That's just absolutely incredible.
And there's a ton of hooks in this song, too.
God. There's a ton of hooks in this album in general.
Yes.
The production on this album is absolutely flawless. I think this is perfect for what you're going for with Vader, I think, because everything has to be separated very clearly, because everything is flying at 110 miles an hour at all times.
Yep. But the mix is really, really great in the sense that nothing overpowers anything, yet every instrument is present.
Yes.
Yep.
The drums sound absolutely fantastic. Peter's vocals, again, he's one of my favorite death metal vocalists. He kind of sounds like, you know, Dr. Claw, except in a death metal band, which, honestly, if you go back and watch Inspector Gadget, it sounds like Dr. Claw was in a death metal band.
Like Dr. Claw and David Vincent tried to sing into the same microphone.
Dr. Claw would probably win that fight.
So, I mean, he's Dr. Claw.
He is Dr. Claw. Now, a cool thing that kind of pops up to at least break up the tracks a little bit and keep them from sounding the same is they bring in some cool, like, 80s metal, like, almost heavy metal feels. The last track, Bones and Emptiness, which was also on their Thy Messenger EP, both have kind of a distinct, like, Judas Priest, early thrash metal, like, Testament kind of feel to it. Those songs aren't really all about the blast beats or anything like that. They're more about just big grooves, big chugs, memorable hooks.
Like, especially the last track, Bones, it's just got more of a jammy groove to it. I mean, they do eventually break into the speed that is Vader.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a lot more elements in this song, I think, than there are in most of them. In fact, this is the longest song, too. The last track is the longest song at 3 minutes and 56 seconds. So.
This album doesn't even clock a half an hour, which I can't knock that. One of my favorite albums doesn't even clock a half an hour, and that's Slayer's Rain and Blood. And this pretty much keeps that same kind of energy. There really isn't any wasted time on this. It's pretty much all to the songs, and let's just get going.
The one kind of thing that is, I think, a little out of place on this album, they did a cover of Acid Drinkers' Dancing in the Slaughterhouse. And I've never heard, first of all, Acid Drinker and this song, so my take on it is it sounds exactly like it would sound if Vader covered any song.
Yeah.
It's the song, but it's got their own flourish on it.
My guess it's like a thrash band or a punk band. Let us know in the comments.
And initially when we talked about it, we were like, man, why would you throw in a cover on such a short album?
And 2 of the tracks were on the Thy Messenger EP too.
But then my argument is this. My argument is there were no intros and there's no filler on this album. And you figure when you listen to other bands and you get intros and filler spaces, it takes about 3 minutes. So why not make a 3-minute cover song if you're not going to throw in intros? In which case, it makes it okay.
Yeah, this is pretty much like, center cut fucking steak with all the fat trimmed off.
Yeah.
But all that flavor was still all soaked in.
Yeah.
It's pretty much everything that needs to be there to be enjoyed. And I really enjoyed this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is, once again, another awesome offering from Vader. They remain incredibly consistent and insanely fast.
Which is such a good thing in this day and age, too, to remain consistent, especially when you've got 15 other albums on your back. It's not the time to really make a career change, I'd say, at that point.
No.
And they didn't. They brought it. I've seen Vader, twice? I think we've seen him twice.
I've seen him 3 times.
3 times. So I've seen Vader twice, and it's never a letdown.
No.
Never at all. It's just like...
I guess I like the lead work on here, too, and it's it's very varied. Like, you get songs like, the ones that have that more 80s feel, like Emptiness and Bones, where the solos actually kind of take on, like, a Judas Priest-y sort of feel, too. Notably more melodic. And then in the incredibly fast, just blast beat ones, they are squealy dive bombs left and right. So I like the fact that they kind of let the solos fit the songs appropriately. They weren't just sort of like a generic stapled in there, this song needs a solo.
Just like, well, let's throw a lead in. Okay.
And, again, this band is... old pros. Like, Peter's been keeping this thing going since '83. He knows what he's doing.
Right.
So overall, I'm going to give this 4 stars. I like the fact that this is all killer, no filler, at least in my opinion. The lack of pretense on any of the tracks. It's pretty much everything you expect from Vader. The production is incredible on it. Songwriting is fucking top-notch once again. Yeah, it could have been longer. I could have subbed with another track on there. But... it's a good standalone album. Just if you love Vader, you're gonna fucking love this.
Yeah. I also give it 4 stars. I knew that, though. We were 2 songs in, and I looked at Nick, and I was like, well, this is a 4.
This is ripping.
Yeah. I mean, it's Vader. I mean, the pacing is insane. They don't skip a beat. And yeah, the production on this album is tits. I haven't heard production quite like this in quite some time, to be honest.
Machine-like precision, and the production really brings it out.
Yeah. I wasn't really disappointed in any songs. I like the fact that there was no filler. It seems like we listen to a lot of bands with ambience and dissonance, and while that's great, this was such a solid punch in the face that, I like in metal, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 4 stars for me. I can't wait till shows come back. I want to see...
So glad we got a chance to see Vader before the
yeah, like right before.
Oof.
Like 2 weeks before Corona started, we saw Vader.
So, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe, because we do shit like this all the time. And we are on Instagram.
Yeah. And it's going pretty well. I've had a lot of folks reach out to us. Pretty much just a bullshit, too. Let you know the bands are just as upset that they're not playing shows. I promise you that.
I would be.
But yeah, I've had a lot of people reach out. Feel free to keep coming. And as I've stated in all of our videos since we got it, reach out. If you want your band reviewed, I'll throw it in on What's John Jammin'. I'm about to do a video here soon. So, yeah, please keep it coming. We're having fun. It's a pleasure to talk to a lot of you. So, Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching.
Take care.